What's going on? It's Trending Story. If it's your first time here and you want to find out new facts that will definitely make you smarter and more well informed, make sure to subscribe and active the notifications bell so you don't miss anything.
It's always said that a woman never forgets her first kiss. I must confess, I don't remember the first kiss I had with a boy, but I will never forget the first kiss I got from a wolf. Have you ever heard stories about feral kids raised by wild animals? There are stories of feral children raised by wolves, raised by dogs, and raised by animals. In this video, an amazing story about how betrayed by her beloved wife, she was lying unconscious on the rails when suddenly a wolf came out of the forest. An incredible story will not leave you indifferent. The wolves stare right at me. When I look back, their yellow-gray eyes seem to pierce straight through my flesh. They are only a dozen feet away, pacing on long legs and bobbing their heads curiously. Life isn't always fair. Some people are born into better environments. Some people have better genetics. Some are in the right place at the right time. If you're trying to change your life, all of this is irrelevant. All that matters is that you accept where you are, figure out where you want to be, and then do what you can, today and every day, to hold your head high and keep moving forward. There is the sound of chanting, and a woman with the jet black hair lights a bundle of sage and waves the smoke over me. I try to forget the carnivores, just steps away, and train my gaze on the high priestess in front of me. The chanting grows louder. She places a deerskin medicine bag around my neck, crooning in a long forgotten tongue. The smoke passes over my limbs, face, and chest. The wolves slow their steps, as curious at the procession as I was. One of them yelps, excited, or maybe nervous. I am being given access to a special circle, something few are allowed to join. I was scared of everything, but one day I went into the enclosure with a wolf and it was the first time my brain shut up, she said. When you're with a predator that can hurt you, your brain automatically focuses on that. After the young Lucy had finished her university studies, she traveled outside her country to work, leaving her fraud husband their home. After spending a year abroad, the young woman returned to her home to meet her husband and young daughter-in-law, but her shock was great from the way her husband greeted her, as he was completely indifferent to her return. Lucy remained confused about her husband's reaction, and she did not understand the reason that made her hide from her daughter, from her, and did not allow her to meet her. She told him that she loved another man while she lived with her in her home, and she wanted to continue her life with her. Also, this daughter wasn't from him, because she was sleeping with that man before they got married. The young woman was very disappointed, and no longer wanted to stay in that house. All she wanted to leave that city and find a place to rest, because she was very shocked after what she knows from her ex-husband. After the young woman walked a long distance, reached a large forest, then she decided to spend the night there. A strong storm started hitting the place, then heavy rain, and as the young woman was searching for a place to hide in, a huge black wolf appeared in front of her. Then he tried to run, but the strong wind pushed her. Then she lost her consciousness completely. When the young man regained consciousness, he found himself in the recovery room and did not realize what to do there. All he was doing was asking the nurses and doctors who he was and what he was doing in that place. He flew towards me, his huge paws landing on my shoulders, his imposing fangs only a centimeter from my face. The world stopped. Then he licked my face with his rough tongue. That kiss was my introduction to the wolf drug, and from that moment on, my life changed. Imbo's acceptance meant my internship application was successful, and throughout my work at Wolf Park, I learned everything I could about the behavior of captive wolves. When the black wolf found that Lucy had lost consciousness, it dragged her from her clothes to the highway that runs through the forest, and he stood there in the middle of the road. Then the wolf turned away and remained watching, as the driver realized that the female wolf wants her to help the young unconscious. When the young woman woke up, she was unable to speak normally, and she was unable to answer the doctors for their questions, which were all about her age, name, and where she lives. Doctors believed that Lucy lost her memory, and they decided to keep her inside the hospital until she recovered physically. During that time, the doctors tried to reveal her identity and published some pictures of her, but the young woman was an orphan with no relatives. and her husband completely abandoned her and no longer asked about her. After a month had passed, the young man was able to walk and carry things, which made the hospital administration decide to allow her to leave. Lucy had neither documents nor money to get on a bus. All he owned was a little bag of some clothes and a little food that the hospital workers gave her. The doctor who took care of her condition in the hospital and gave her the address of her aunt, who lives in the village. When Lucy reached the address the doctor gave her, he met an old woman named Matvina there, who found her waiting her. She prepared a room for him to sleep in, and she took him to the farm to help her graze livestock and bring firewood from the forest. The young woman respected Matvina a lot and considered her like her mother, which she was overwhelmed with her because she became taking care of her. One day, the grandmother went out with Lucy to collect mushrooms from the woods, and while they were there wandering, Lucy noticed a huge black wolf. The wolf approached Lucy and kept looking at her, which made the grandmother feel very afraid, but the young woman reassured her and asked her to keep her calm. The wolf recognized Lucy and suddenly attacked her and hit her head, and when she got up, she found that he had fully recovered her memory. The grandmother was very happy because Lucy had recovered her memory and thought she would leave, but she returned to the city where she lived and brought her documents and money back to farm again to start her new life. "I think it's empowering for women to know they can heal in other ways," she stated. "It's also kind of badass. No one is going to attack me again. I live with wolves. It's a huge sense of relief." One of the very first lessons we learn as children is that life isn't always fair, and yet most of us cling to the belief that people generally get what they deserve. This belief influences our expectations and can cause us to view the world as a series of transactions. Put $1 in the machine, you should get a soda. Work hard, you should get a promotion. Treat others with kindness, you should get the same in return. These expectations aren't necessarily unreasonable, but they often go unmet. Sometimes you put $1 in the machine and it jams. You work hard and the promotion goes to someone else. You're kind to others and you still have to put up with the jerk down the hall. When there's a gap between what is and what we believe should be, we tend to get angry. I don't deserve this. But dwelling on unfairness doesn't actually make life more fair. It does, however, make it difficult to think rationally and keeps us focused on problems instead of solutions. We don't always get to choose what happens to us, but we do get to choose how we react. Here's how to respond with resilience when your expectations aren't met and life just doesn't feel fair. What touches me again and again is how lovingly the wolves take care of their family members. When one of them gets wounded during hunting or fighting, the whole pack takes care of him. When they leave for the hunt, one stays with the injured animal. When they return, they bring food along. Sick and old animals are cared for until they are better again. It is precisely this caring characteristic that makes people and wolves so similar to each other.
Thanks for watching. Please like and share the video in social networks. We'll be right back to you as fast as we can.